News 12's Shonna Narine continues our team coverage with a story you'll see only on 12.
The rainbows are spreading all across Nassau and Suffolk County, all to put smiles on people's faces during this difficult time.
I made a smiley face on mine.
This is to get families outside while practicing.
So I knew going into 5 towns, I wanted an internship with News 12 just because I knew how, great that would look on my resume. And I eventually want to work there one day. So it was the fall of 2017. And I just applied it, and I remember the career services, they were like amazing, like getting me phone calls and everything. And when I finally got it, I was like, okay, this is it. Like, this is what I've been waiting for. And it was absolutely incredible. It was so hands-on there at News 12. I made sure I got like to follow reporters and anchors and traffic producers and the writers. And I just took all of that and I like just soaked it all in. And it definitely did help me when I went to go apply there for a job. Obviously, I couldn't get one right after graduation because I did need some experience, but
Sure.
they remembered me when I went to go apply just a couple months ago, and they were like, "Oh yeah, that's great. You intern here," and
Yeah.
people remembered me, the anchors, so that was awesome.
What was some of the day-to-day when you were actually interning?
Interning, so I interned, it was 2 days a week.
Mhm.
1 day a week, I was out in the field with a reporter, and I got to follow them. I got to do stand-ups. I got to write with them. I got to, like, write my own package, and they kinda looked over it for me.
Sure.
And then the following, like, day or whatever, I got to work at the assignment desk, make phone calls, pitch stories, and I kind of asked them myself if I could follow, like, the anchors and, like, the traffic and the writers,
Yeah.
and they liked that because they're like, "Oh, interns never really asked that," but they liked how I said that, so that was, I guess, good on my part, and I got to see how the writers write and, like, they're just day to day.
How did from graduation to that first job in Maine work, and why Maine, all that?
Right. So right after graduation, actually before graduation, I started putting out my reel, and then I kind of got in my head and I was like, no, I don't like my reel. So I redid the whole thing on my iPhone
Oh,
because
man.
I wasn't at school anymore, so I didn't have like the equipment.
Sure.
So I bought my own microphone. I shot it on like my iPhone 5. I just took stories from the newspaper and kind of just like went out and did stand-ups and created my own, and then just sent it out literally all over. And the first call I got was from Indiana, and
Mhm.
that kind of freaked me out. I was like, "Oh, that's way too far." I was like, "No way."
I've been
And
through
then
Indiana, rightfully so, rightfully
yeah.
so. I'm just
And
kidding.
then I got a call from, like, Montana. I was like, "Okay, no." Then it started getting closer, like West Virginia,
Wow.
South Carolina, and then Maine called me, and then I spoke that was the first director I actually, like, spoke to on the phone,
Okay.
and I just felt so comfortable with him. It was like I knew him for years, and he hired me on the spot, and I was like, "Oh, wow." He gave me a weekend to think about it, but I just knew that's where I had to go, and it was close to home. That was a perk. Well, 8 hours, but,
Yeah.
I just the way he was speaking to me and what I would gain out of it, I was like, "Okay, this is definitely, the station I need to be at."
So how long did it take for you to kind of find your footing when you were in Maine? And like, and actually like, we're doing a show now. It's an internet thing, which is obviously very different, but getting in front of a camera or getting in front of a microphone, that's a different kind of thing. And you really need to understand rhythm and pacing. And so how long did it take for you to kind of get comfortable with that at that first job?
I would say about a month or 2, just because they really just threw you in the water right away and you
Yeah.
kinda had to get comfortable. I mean, I remember my first live shot, I looked like a deer in headlights, I had no idea, but my news director, he was great. He always constantly gave feedback, but I definitely would say like a month or 2 just because you're doing it so much and you're like, okay, you get faster and quicker and you just get
Mhm.
more comfortable. But I definitely think while you're at school, practice as much as you can in front of the camera, even like mock live shots and practice like a technical difficulty because that happens all the time. So you want to like
Sure.
think on your feet.
What was your next move after Maine?
So I had a 2-year contract at Maine, but I was only there like a year and 8 months. And I pretty much knew my time was up there when I knew it wasn't challenging for me anymore.
Sure.
And my news director even approached me. He said, I think you're done here. I think you
Time?
need to,
Yeah.
yeah, it's time. You need to make your reel." And that's when I started looking closer to home. My goal was to come home,
Sure.
obviously for everyone. So I just started making my reel and, sending it out.
How important is having that good reel when you're looking for a job? I mean, I would assume it has to help tremendously. This isn't really my world. So like what is the difference between a mediocre one and a killer and like the not guarantee, but the lock of getting something great?
Definitely. So, I mean, I was always taught, and even news directors now tell me they look at the first 10, 15 seconds and then they click out whether they like you or not. So you really just have to engage. Just start with like a really cool stand up or just something different that just catches their eye. You could, I think I started mine with anchoring, but I mean, I switched it so many times. I just think a really good stand up, clear speaking voice, your writing, they look at all of that.